We are going to review Batman 144, Joker Year 1 Part 3, Chip Zdarsky, Giuseppe Camuncoli, as well as Andrea Sorrentino on art here. And Doc, I do think we have reached a Batman 50 moment. The Batman wedding moment for Tom King, I think, has just happened for Chip Zdarsky. And I don't think DC Comics or Chip can actually overcome what he just did in this Batman story, delivering absolutely nothing. And I think his legacy will be tarnished by this particular comic book and this event from now until eternity. This will not recover until he leaves.
The entire Bat family has been turned into Jokers and then promptly spent the entire book not actually doing anything about it. And then everything's just fine. I legitimately have no clue what I read.
Because it's not even a year one story. The finale or the conclusion of the goddamn thing happens in 40 years or whatever. And it's certainly not even a Joker year one story. It's a Joker Toxin year one story, perhaps. And when you say that you're going to deliver a Batman Joker year one story and then you don't actually deliver it, you know, like I said, it's a Batman 50 Batman wedding issue situation for Tom King where he never recovered. And I think the sales are going to decline on this one steadily because people are just going to lose interest. And I think they're probably at this point pretty mad that they spent $15 to learn nothing of actual value about Joker or his beginnings.
It's almost like they just short-circuited whatever story they were maybe attempting to tell, because everything in this book just kind of ends. It blows up the year one concept because it doesn't add anything. There's no real major revelations about the early days of the Joker in this. There's no real conflict in it. And then they just kind of gave up.
And it's not really even a Joker year one story at this point. It's more like an early career of Jim Gordon story for the most part. We have the Red Hood gang. Jim Gordon and Batman are investigating them. The Joker shows up in a clown costume, kind of sad. You know, obviously he's had his training now. He's got some balloons. They show up at the police station, and Jim Gordon is basically figuring out the station has been infiltrated by Red Hood, not just members, but Red Hood leaders. In fact, he believes that the police commissioner is actually the leader of the Red Hood gang. They decide that they're going to steal all the drugs from the drug room, even though the dude that's doing it is like the right-hand guy of the police commissioner and probably could have had access to that without a bunch of armed thugs showing up with guns and shooting at people.
Apparently, the drugs that they were bringing in to get access to the evidence room, they got through, it was a deal that they got through some anonymous tip. And that was how they were going to get back into the evidence room, even though they already had the key.
They're the ones that did the bust. If they wanted the drugs, why didn't they just keep them?
Exactly. Why did they have to bring them back to the station at all? They have to just, you make the bust, you bring a couple of dime bags in, you keep the, 10 bricks of coke or whatever it was that they got from their bust that was the biggest drug bust in Gotham PD history. You just keep that shit for yourself, and now all of a sudden, hey, problem solved. You didn't have to actually turn it in. The leadership is on your side. Nobody else there knew that you were even doing it. None of this makes any fucking sense from a logical storytelling point of view.
It was actually really stupid, but the reason they did it was so Joker... so he could be in a clown costume, I guess. And they took the bags and they're taking off. Of course, Jim Gordon has discovered the plot and he's stopped the commissioner guy or whatever. And as the Red Hood members that are actually cops are taking off, the bag no longer has the bricks of cocaine in it anymore. It's actually got something else, and it starts releasing Joker toxin into the vehicle itself because it turns out Joker, I guess, is experimenting on the new members of the Red Hood gang, but it also offers the opportunity for Jim Gordon to beat the crap out of this guy, which is almost like a scene-for-scene reenactment from like, is it year one or zero year? It's one or the other. It's like the exact same scene, except this guy's got a new name.
I don't think Joker switched anything out. I think Joker was the tipster that whenever they collected everything, there was an explosion.
Yeah, but why would they think they had bricks of cocaine if they actually had vials of toxin that were to blow up?
I don't think they were. I don't think it was vials of toxin. We never actually saw vials in there. I'm betting that it was in a powder. The Joker toxin was in powder form. It's like blowing up a brick of coke and then it just is all powder.
Well, how did Joker know that they were going to steal it right then, right there? Not really effective storytelling, but this, like I said, this is Joker toxin year one. It's not actually Joker year one. We're finding out where the Joker toxin that is in the future that has turned the entire Bat family into Jokers, and really it's turned all of Gotham into Jokers. Where it came from, this is the beginning stages of it, and I guess it's certainly heavily implied that Joker ends up kidnapping McCloud and testing on him for years upon years, and basically perfecting his Joker formula that we see in the future where everyone turns into zombie Jokers or whatever. Then we go and we see Joker and Batman in the future. Joker has set up Batman to be attacked by his family. We see Jason Todd and all that stuff just to set up this stupid conversation. And I hate it so much. I hate this interpretation of the fucking Batman Joker relationship. And I think Grant Morrison might have thrown this one over the edge. This is what Joker says to Batman. I could have killed you at any point over the years. You know that, don't you? You live because I let you, because I love you. And Batman says, and you live because I let you, even though I hate you. Once again, the Joker is really just in love with Batman thing.
Yeah. Joker's gay for Batman. It's so current year interpretation of any sort of two men having any sort of emotional connection with one another.
Well, these guys don't have an emotional connection.
Well, no, I mean dislike versus
rivalry.
Yeah, rivalry. That is an emotional connection. None of these writers can fathom any sort of rivalry, dislike between two male characters that doesn't have to be at least semi-homosexual. And with the I love you and I hate you, and it's so bland, it's so cliche, it is so fucking current year because this is just tedious and annoying.
In the future, you see that everyone's been turned into Joker zombies at the end. And Joker is just giving Batman clues and walking him through this. And you're learning, why is this going on? And the reason that he was going through this is so he could tell him that I love you and I let you live. And then he just gives him the cure to the Joker toxin that turned everybody, including his family, into Joker zombies. And it's one of the dumbest concepts I've ever seen in my life. I guess it looks cooler at execution from Andrea Sorrentino because he is kind of a good artist. Although his art looks really fucking weird in this complete series. It doesn't look like Andrea Sorrentino half the time. And the way that he's going to do it is he has to play a sound that attracts bats, and then the high-pitched frequencies of the bats cures the entire city of Gotham.
Before I get into the terrible plot here, I do need to agree. Andrea Sorrentino and Giuseppe Camuncoli, neither of them look like themselves, their normal art. This is
Giuseppe Camuncoli looks like he was rushed. Andrea Sorrentino looks like he took his art and threw it to some AI filters. There's a big difference between that.
Yeah, no, I mean, but neither of them look good in this issue, at least. So the Joker, essentially, Chip, what you're trying to tell me is the Joker spent decades perfecting this toxin formula just so that he can unleash it, and then the world's greatest detective needs clues and basically needs it spoon-fed to him the solution that the Joker just gives him the antidote, regardless of how stupid the antidote is, because it is really, really exceptionally stupid. So an audible turn off, audible turn on. Okay, you managed to cure them. What happens the next time they hear laughter? It turns back on. You haven't cured them. This doesn't make any logical sense, but somehow Batman had to get his hand held to the solution. He didn't do any detecting here.
Batman gets the point, I guess, in the end. He says he could have let the world tear itself apart. So the question remains and sits at the base of my heart after all this time. This man, this demon, this whirlwind of controlled chaos, how many times over the years could he have simply won? Because the Joker is simply better than the Batman. I guess that was the point of Joker Year One, Joker Toxin Year One.
I guess.
That's a fundamental misunderstanding of Joker.
It really is. And so now Joker actually is Mark Miller's nemesis.
That's supposed to be Batman if he was a bad guy.
Yeah,
Joker.
Exactly. Because what you've done here, you've made it him just playing an obscenely long game. And it's very, very logical, which is not chaotic at all. He spends 20 years going through the scientific process of creating a toxin through trial and error and experimentation. And then you line up everyone in a row so that you can enact your big grand plan. And then You release it, you get your win, and then you just undermine it to prove to Batman that he loves him, which is also another logical choice. He's giving up his life's work to prove to Batman that he loves him and that he could have just killed everybody years ago, but he chose not to. This is the problem. You can't have the Joker being all super logical and rational and going through an actual process and then have his motivations also be logical and then still try to represent him as an agent of chaos. You can't.
Well, this isn't the Joker. I guess what was established in Joker Year One is the elements of Chip Zdarsky's Batman the Night play into the origin of Joker and his three personalities, which are the three Jokers, no longer physical manifestations like Jeff Johnson created. So he's basically retconning that. Batman of Zuranol also comes from that training by the guy that trained Joker that was also Batman's, I guess, mentor at one time until he left him. And then the Joker could have defeated Batman at any time if he so chose to, because he's actually a better man than Batman. That's what he establishes here. Not really a year one story, doesn't really definitively establish the origins of Joker, just kind of ties himself into the other stuff that already had been established about Joker. And this thing was an absolute waste of time, waste of paper, and Chip Zdarsky probably lost any type of credibility or anything really with the DC audience at this point. I don't think you can actually come back from this. This is a Batman wedding situation for Tom King, and you're only going to see decline over this one because people are going to see this for what it is. There's no denying it.
Yeah, this was a poorly construed story, essentially designed nothing more than to get regular Batman readers to have to understand this story. They have to go and pick up trade paperbacks of Batman the Night, which Chip Zdarsky probably gets a couple of bucks out of when they sell. So
that's not going to happen. No one cares.
No, nobody cares.
No one believes this is Joker.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense because at the end, Batman just rides a horse through the city with a megaphone, getting a flock of bats following
40
him.
years into the future in a Joker Year One story.
Yeah. That's
pretty stupid.
That's the thing. And then he gets back.
Are you recommending this comic book?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Although at the end of the issue, we do get Batman just exhausted walking into his house. Selina's
hanging out with
there.
Black Cat?
Yeah, hanging out with Black Cat because suddenly Selina Kyle's a like platinum blonde with long hair. Awesome, I guess.
Yeah. Nothing awesome about this comic book. It absolutely sucked. Doc, I do want to say thank you very much. And I do want to tell the people plenty more Doc going on over at the Patreon. There's a link in the video description. And if you love comic book reviews, I actually do a show every single week, also available on the Doc tier on the Patreon with Jim from Weird Science DC, where we talk about the best and worst comic books from Marvel, DC, any comic books, and we cover all that kind of stuff. If you want more comic book coverage and longer form content, because we do short burst stuff here on the YouTube's 10 to 15 minutes, more like 2 or 3 hours in length, go check that one out. And we got a lot of fun stuff for you waiting on the Patreon.